Welcome to InfoPro Learning's whiteboard video on learning simulations and the learning model we have scientifically pioneered called SPICE. The SPICE model started out like all models at InfoPro Learning with a series of problem statements. With learning simulations rising in popularity, and justifiably so, many of our customers were asking us the same questions. Can a simulation be used for serious learning? What type of investment is needed to create learning simulations? And what learning strategy applies best to creating impactful situations? This was a common one for our customers because they were very familiar with models like ADDIE, but they didn't know if that could be transferred into a more complex learning solution like simulations. And another common question was, are you sure you can simulate the type of situations my employees encounter? Because a lot of our customers have some pretty complex operations. Now, we knew surface level answers to most of these questions, and I'm sure many of you do as well, but we wanted to dig deeper into these questions so that we could better understand the science of simulations and why they're impactful. Throughout this video, try and recall these questions, as they will all be answered very shortly. To help us answer these questions, we went back to the drawing boards and leaned heavily on research from the brightest and most distinguished minds in the L&D industry. We drew on many components from David Kolb, the father of enterprise learning management, David Merrill, Roger Schenck, who founded the learning by doing mindset, and in our opinion, should be at the foundation of any simulated learning model. Because if you happen to watch our video on the 70-20-10 model, you will recall the greatest way to learn a new task is by actually doing it. Last, we studied Roger Major's work on defining performance criterion-based objectives to ensure we were building simulations that maximized our customers' return on investment. After months of research and development, we came up with a learning model for learning simulations that are targeted at driving better business performance. This model is broken up into 6 parts: scenario, performance, path, intervention, continuity, and evaluation, or SPICE for short. Let's start back at the top to dig deeper into this model. The SPICE model starts with the scenario stage. Here we're defining the business situations that we will be simulating and gathering information about the audience. After this is complete, we move to the performance stage that is all about defining success for the program. We create very specific performance outcomes. For example, if we're working with a customer support call center, we might analyze net promoter score, one-call resolution percentage, and time to resolution. Then we create the path for which the simulation will be built and mapping that to the performance outcomes. This tends to be the most time-consuming and complicated step in the process, especially when trying to simulate complex functions with many moving pieces and possible outcomes. We then decide how frequently we want to interrupt the simulation with feedback and specifically what the feedback should be. In our research, we found that learners need to actually be taken out of the simulation if certain actions are taken which can be pivotal for job performance. Next comes the continuity stage, where we measure how a series of decisions made in the path stage will impact the key performance areas. Now this may sound complex, but it boils down to the fact that the end result of any job can be black and white, like a sales environment in which you close a deal or you do not, but there are 9 to 10 other decisions made before you get to the end result which may have several right answers, but some of them are more right than others. Now the last step is evaluation. Not only do we monitor the performance outcomes, but we also cross-reference this data back to the performance within the learning simulation. If we see similar results, we know the simulation is working. Any disparity highlights holes in the simulation where we aren't closely matching to a specific job function. So after we spent all this time creating the model, it was time to actually test to see if it worked. We chose to implement SPICE with 3 different customers that all had different environments for learning simulations. We worked with one company who said their customers are very fickle and tend to switch providers at the drop of a hat. This led to elongated onboarding programs and a hesitancy to let new hires learn on the job. Another company in the medical field told us that training their employees on new techniques and technology had primarily been hands-on, which was very expensive for them. The third company had a sales team that primarily worked with customers in a face-to-face setting. This company really had no formal training because they believed there was too much variety in the sales process. We worked with each company over the next several months and analyzed their data at the end of each training program, and we were very excited to see the results. And we're happy to tell you that they were 5 stars across the board. We measured several KPIs to determine the successfulness of the SPICE model, but we wanted to share some of the most impactful business performance improvements that were reported. The first company was able to reduce the time to proficiency of new hires by over 50%, saving them hundreds of thousands a year in training costs and in lost productivity. The metal company we worked with said the ease of working in the virtual environment led to much more practice than they had been able to perform previously because it was so cost prohibitive. This led to their employees learning new tasks up to 35% faster than before. One of our toughest projects for us was the sales team. Their sales cycle was very long and complex, which required us to spend countless hours in the path stage to create that decision tree. So to see their sales team increase the average order value by 28% was one of our biggest wins. Although we only highlighted 3 examples in this video, we have implemented learning simulations for several organizations that were looking to see drastic increases in business performance. Thank you for learning more about InfoPro learning simulations and our SPICE model. If you would like a personal demonstration of a learning simulation we've built, please call or email us. And before we sign off, we want to encourage you to check out our other learning videos, including the recent one on the 70-20-10 framework that we mentioned earlier in this video. Thank you.